What's $1,500, difficult to operate, disconcerting to others, makes you really stick out? The answer is Google Glass. I'm Patrick McCarron, and here with me is Coleman Johnson.
Released last year, Glass hit the market with a splash, creating both controversy and intrigue with its different functions. But after using Google Glass, Patrick and I have discovered that Glass has some major kinks to work out.
Senior academic technologist at Washington and Lee University, Brandon Busey, is here with us in the studio to explain the setup process. But this process is far from easy. Users will have to familiarize themselves with obscure cellular functions such as hotspots and data roaming to get it to work.
All right, Brandon, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's just jump right into the interview.
Sounds good.
Well, the first thing I want to discuss is what exactly makes connecting Google Glass to University Wi-Fi so difficult, especially here at WNO.
Okay, so yeah, the Google Glass device is currently set up really to only connect easily to open networks, just wide open, or networks guarded by a single password.
Okay.
So in the setup process, you can type your network password in, and it generates a QR code which you show to Google Glass, and it connects. Our university Wi-Fi network, both of them, the secure and unsecure network, are both have what's called a second step. It's an authentication step that is required to connect to it. And currently that's not supported by Google, hence we can't connect.
Right. Well, I mean, I know when I was trying to connect to the Wi-Fi, I had a lot of trouble. My mobile hotspot wasn't working, so I had to actually connect it to my computer. Mm-hmm. And that provided a lot of limitations in terms of where I could take Glass and what I could do with it.
Right.
I know that your experience is relatively limited with Glass, but just do you think you could talk about a little bit about why you think that Google should support Glass as a device that needs to connect to a hotspot or some sort of mobile tethering device rather than being its own freestanding Wi-Fi piece of technology?
Sure, yeah. So Google Glass, I mean, it's pretty clearly being developed and marketed as a personal technological device. You've got to connect it to your own personal Google Plus account. It's currently set up to connect to your smartphone via hotspot tethering and Bluetooth. And yeah, I think the main reason for that is just its key. One of its key benefits, I guess, is mobility.
Right.
So you can wear these anywhere you go, and you should have access to the internet wherever you're going, regardless of Wi-Fi connection or anything like that.
Right.
So hence, I guess that it would make sense on their part to connect it to another device that we all carry around all the time and has pretty much ubiquitous connection to the network, which would be our smartphones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's just a very interesting topic, I guess, with our discussion, and that obviously facilitates moving around and being able to be in different environments with Glass. So that's a very integral part of what Google is trying to achieve with this technology.
I think so.
Speaking more on terms of Google Glass as an academic tool, as a way that students can augment their learning throughout the entire nation and just all college campuses trying to accept and utilize this technology. So how do you see that the disconnect between our university's Wi-Fi and Google Glass and the incompatibility kind of as an anecdote for how other colleges might see this as a problem in integrating Glass into their own curriculums?
Sure, yeah. So, on our campus, we do student surveys with incoming freshmen and also every other year with the entire student body. So we've got some data that we have a very large majority of students on campus using smartphone technology, that kind of thing. So probably the decision to implement it at a place like WNL would be easier to do, just given the ubiquity of the smartphone technology for connecting. However, as we found out, the having a hotspot on your smartphone is by no means as ubiquitous as just having a smartphone itself. And that's proving to be a key requirement, at least for now, as to how Google connects to the internet through your smartphone. Yeah, I guess the other thing about universities is that they're kind of unique as far as connectivity. We've got a large geographical area, all governed or all available, all with access to a single network, wireless network. That's probably not going to be the case in most places like your home or various businesses or retail areas that you're going to go, where there's going to be a single network that you just connect to while you're there, but then as soon as you leave, it's gone. So it does open up some advantages to being able to connect to a university network if you can wear Google Glass and walk from building to building or across the campus and still have connection. Just kind of to draw a parallel between Google Glass and other mobile devices that have come on campus recently. There were initially connectivity issues with tablet devices, smartphones, that kind of thing, and those have since been overcome both by updates to the technology itself and also changes and upgrades to our network. So I'm hopeful that Google Glass will have that same kind of trend in becoming more connectable to different kinds of networks.
Absolutely.
So I'm hopeful that in the future, near future, we'll be able to connect it to at least some of our networks on campus.
And that reminds me of another point I wanted to discuss with you. It is in fact Google Glass, and Google, as we know, manufactures Android technology. As one might be able to see walking across our campus, the majority of people here do in fact utilize Apple technology, whether it be iPads, MacBooks, iPhones being the majority. So how do you see Google's favoritism towards Android, not necessarily favoritism, but compatibility, posing problems on campuses across the nation for iPhone users, even though it is fairly easy to connect to Google Glass with Apple devices?
Right. So certainly, definitely wasn't surprised to find out that if you've got an Android phone, you start the pairing process and it just kind of happens.
Right.
I guess the one thing that also surprised me was that it was relatively easy to connect the Google Glass device to iPhones. It just seemed like there was just a different level of degree of ability to change some of the system settings that I think were more native in Android than in the iPhone, and there are a few steps you would have to do as the user of your iPhone. But yeah, I think all in all, it's definitely telling that Google has put out a My Glass app both for Android and for iPhone, and that those currently are the only two supported phone operating systems that will, or current recommended phone operating systems for the Google Glass device. So I think that's kind of in part a recognition that there are going to be a lot of users of Google Glass who have iPhones, and just Google is going to need to be able to play well with Apple, at least as far as pairing their device.
Right. So you just see it more of an inconvenience to have an Apple device rather than a barrier to using the technology.
Right. Yeah, just going to be a few different steps, maybe a couple more hurdles as far as enabling hotspot, that kind of thing.
Right.
But if Google can sell an iPhone user a $1,500 set of glasses, they're going to be $1,500 richer than just having someone using an iPhone.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
yeah, there's huge potential to tap into that market. Lastly, kind of more a summarization of what we've been talking about. What do you see Google Glass doing, and how do you see it being utilized, not only on college campuses across the nation, but just in society as a whole? Where do you see it going in the next 10 years?
Yeah, well, so I guess if you look back 10 years, the change between 2004 and today is pretty astronomical. Lots of things that we currently are using and taking for granted, like our smartphone technologies, weren't even around back then. I think the only mobile device most of us carried around back then, in addition to our flip phone, was an iPod. So yeah, we're taking that and trying to project it into the future. Who knows? But certainly one of the areas that I feel really has the most potential for development, just like with smartphones and tablets recently, is in the app development. Developing apps that kind of take advantage of the input and the abilities of Google Glass are really going to be, I think, where you see most of that happening. There's a lot of talk about augmented reality, so apps that take things from the web, from the internet, and then display them in your own field of view using Google Glass. I could see that being really beneficial for tourists traveling, finding areas, restaurants, directions, that kind of thing. But yeah, also just other various types of augmented reality and app design. I think that's probably where we'll be seeing it going on. I think if Google Glass gets enough really useful and beneficial apps going, I would imagine that's what we're going to be seeing in the next few years.
Right. Well, certainly a very unpredictable future, but hopefully a very promising one. Mr. Busey, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great. Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure. So now we've shown some of the difficulties in the setup of Google Glass. Let's demonstrate how the technology itself operates. We'll begin by showing the design of Glass itself. As you can see, this is Google Glass. We got to use it for 24 hours. Patrick's going to talk a little bit about the physical design of the device.
Okay, so the internal computer is located at the back of the glasses. Unfortunately, this portion is conspicuous and cumbersome, making it quite obvious that you're wearing a computer on your face. Also, this portion becomes incredibly hot. If that wasn't enough of an issue, the battery life lasts only about 40 to 60 minutes, which is inadequate when using glass in public.
As you can see, the camera is located atop the right lens. It too is very, very conspicuous and has the potential to intimidate people unfamiliar with glass because of its futuristic design. Another problem is the inaccuracy of this camera. As you can see on these photographs, glass takes very, very difficult or interesting photos, and Patrick's going to talk about it a little bit.
Okay, so as you'll see by some pictures here, glass does not have any zoom function and is very hard to aim. Obviously these photos, this one isn't even close to level. So neither is level, and it is difficult to see exactly what is in the frame.
And another issue that we found to come with using Google Glass is that the camera is aligned above your line of sight. So when you're looking and recording a video, it doesn't actually show you what you're looking at. As you can see in this video, one of our classmates took a video of him fishing, but because glass cannot zoom, the actual fish is difficult to locate. As you can see, the camera is filming what seems to be the other bank of the river, when in actuality what you want to be looking at is the fisher's hands and the reel and everything else that goes into the actual act of catching fish. Google Glass's design, while good intentioned, places the screen above your line of sight so that it doesn't obstruct what you're doing. But in some cases, especially if you're using Google Glass as a recording device for video and audio and photographs, you have a difficult time really capturing what you're trying to see. So as you can see, this fish is being caught. It's going to be reeled into a net and then subsequently released. But none of these occurrences are actually shown very clearly with the device.
And I would say at this point also that it would probably just be more effective to have a GoPro. I'm pretty sure it does more and takes better video. Well, this concludes our reflections on glass. But while we think this device is somewhat ineffective now, keep in mind it's just a prototype. We'll wait and see if glass can fix its problems of complicated setup, conspicuousness, and technological faultiness. I'm Patrick McCarron. Thanks for watching.